Hey, how's it going? I keep doing this. I turn it on and then, or I think I turn it on and it's not on. It being the camera. Please look at my signs. Okay, so I have some cards to interpret for you. And I'm still kind of unfolding the whole twos thing with the duality, and when I say twos, I mean numeral 2. And I'm sure no one's ever heard of it, but still. Okay. Oh God, I'm not gonna do that, are you? None of my clothes fit right anymore. And now you know. So yeah, and the twos were like, okay, I get it. Two faces, two-faced. Many things come to mind with faces and the number 2. But I felt like I kind of ran out of places to go with it, and then I ran across the picture of the Jesus with 3 faces on the head, which further unlocked more things. So here is what I kind of, it just kind of came out earlier. It felt like I just needed to write, so here's what I wrote. Finding my way to my inner child. Oh, finding my way to my inner child. Ooh, there's an emphasis there. The one we're often advised to reach inside or within to soothe and reassure. This abstract idea. It isn't nonsensical. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for me, I hadn't found it as effective as it's made out to be. I should change that right now. So when I go to, uh-oh, where'd it go? Oh, wow. There it is. Sorry, editing for later, less editing. Okay, so yeah, for me, I haven't found it to be as effective as it's made out to be. And so, to be clear, the reason why you're searching for the inner child is to reassure and soothe it, because it being insecure and agitated affects us. Like, well, I'll go on. So, wow, that is really in my face. Okay. Okay, that's blinding me. I mean, I want you to see, but can I also see? That's a little better. Oh my gosh, that's a lot better. Okay, yeah, so not as effective as I thought it was going to be. I must allow that no one said it'd be easy. I was getting help with it from without. I mean, I always am. We always are. I talk about it. It's either like some form of atmospheric thing, like solar waves or flares or magnetic poles moving around, and gamma rays, like all kinds of stuff. And then like intentional vibrational help from beings that don't live here on Earth. So they could be like, you know, non-corporeal, like they don't have a body and they're just like the vibration that is sentient, or they do have a body like we do. It just depends. But yeah, we're all getting that help. All kinds of vibrational help. An idea that is widely accepted, just one that I needed to work better in practice. But the wave of two related face stuff, well, couldn't have been clearer. You have two faces. One or more are artificial and reflecting some version of ourself. The other, that is rarely the one on top, so to speak, there for all to see. Get a mirror to see. That should have been a new paragraph. So the one that's rarely on top, so to speak, which is, I'm saying, like, we're probably like the most unaffected when we're like at home, possibly by ourselves, so that we feel completely free to be completely free to be ourselves. But I feel like there's very few times and situations that we are like that unguarded around anyone. Even the people we're most comfortable with often will not have a clue about some things that, like, if you're married to like BTK, you think this guy is one thing, the scout leader and the church guy, the deacon I think he was, and had some municipal job. So Mr. Helper guy just turned out to be helping himself to inappropriate things and doing those inappropriate things to people. Like, BTK was a serial killer, if you don't know, and you want to know. I mean, you know how to rock the search bar. So anyway, I'm just saying, we put a lot of sometimes falsehoods and almost always some sort of fiction between anyone else and our real, raw, naked self. Okay, now you're blinding me again. Oh, so the next paragraph, get a mirror to see another face that's you, the one we ourselves can't see in real time. Expressions. We, them. We see. More editing. It's not we, them. We see them when we look at faces. The ones who can see what we miss when we're not. Oh, that should be a period. We see them when we look at faces. Period. The ones who can see what we miss when we're out here, dorking about without seeing our own expression. But it's interesting right now, this insight, or it's interesting, this right now insight. Haha. Maybe the fake face is giving a lot away that we don't realize it. And wow, maybe it'd be easier to wear the one that isn't trying to impress or express anything other than the straight dope. Like, I mean, if you think about it for a second, like, you're out in the world and you are, I don't know, someplace with other people, some sort of social situation. Maybe it's work also, but you are interacting with people that you don't know very well outside of the situation you're like in at the moment. And I know that I have often just gone on automatic. So I'm saying, you might be around the people and it's like, because they're like people you know from work, you're not necessarily wanting to be that close with them, and you're not giving them very much, and they're maybe trying to talk to you, like just maybe small talk, but you know, people still want to become acquainted with you sometimes. And maybe you have that thing happen. I'm still talking about what you don't necessarily know your outward face is doing. and someone asks you something, and you may feel like, I need to answer this question in the affirmative because it's what this person wants to hear. It's what would work in the social situation without like ruffling feathers or rocking any boats. Like, you just want to be innocuous, right? So you answer in the affirmative with your mouth, but maybe it's not how you actually feel. Like, maybe you're like, I'm just saying this because like what I just said. So you're not truly feeling it. So you might say, yeah, but you're going, yeah, I love it. It's my favorite thing. So that is something we might do unconsciously. And by unconsciously, I mean not realizing that we're making a contradiction head. Like the whole unit is sending a mixed message, which I know if I were looking at it, I would go, oh, okay. Saying one thing but meaning another, essentially lying, and that never goes over well. So, I don't know what made me think of that when I was writing it, but it's probably true. Like I said, I definitely, like, if I don't care that much about the person that I'm talking to, I know that sounds terrible, but I did explain the situation that the person could possibly be in, where you're just not that invested in the person. You're just like, I have to see you at work and I want to get along because we have to be together for 8 hours a shift or whatever it is, and you make these concessions. But it's not your responsibility to not hurt somebody's feelings, but you might care if you hurt someone's feelings. So, and I do, but like I said, I also know, like, I'll just kind of go on automatic, just kind of disrespectful now that I hear it. It's harder than it sounds to be completely attentive and into someone that you just ain't feeling it for, but if you gotta be there and you don't want, like, you want it to be like a smooth situation when you go to work, then, I mean, you have to, like, it's not a big deal, really, like, to just pay attention to someone, because the moments when you're gonna be, like, having that intense a FaceTime is gonna be when you're not actually working. You don't have to spend your breaks with that person. Well, guess I have some feelings about that, because all of those details are not here. I'll just, as soon as I get through belching, I'll move on. Okay, so, sorry, I lost my place. May as well, when we're out being a version of ourselves that leaks a little authenticity, just like drop the artifice and just go with, straight truth. And then, like, also, here's an alternative way of looking at it. If you're not wanting to deal with all of that false face stuff and putting on a little front just because you have to, you could also just do what the no is actually saying. Like, I don't care about you that much. Like, we can get along and everything, but don't, like, overthink it. So, yeah. May as well, when we're out being a version of ourselves that leaks a little authenticity, like when responding to how you doing. Okay, I just talked about that. So, wait, wasn't I talking about the inner child? Yes, I was. Yes, I am. The inner child. So, who hides behind pretending to be characters and spontaneously breaks out into different voices? A child. When do they become loud and obnoxious? When the desire for attention that's been denied. Oh, when the desire for attention has been being denied over long. Wow, that almost turned into a full-on stutter. So to be clear, the kids get loud and obnoxious when they feel like you're ignoring them, and you can't just keep doing it. Like they're telling you, you've been ignoring me for too long, and I'm gonna make a big stink and act out because you're not paying attention. There's still wounds to be treated from way back when we swept past and they never got seen to. There are still wounds to be treated from way back. There should be a pyramid. Interesting that I said pyramid. One thing, okay, since I'm talking about pyramid, I guess I have to mention this. In that video, I linked to my last video, but I was talking about earlier in this one, the Jesus painting with Jesus has three faces, rather. That was in a video, and it's linked to my last one. So, what, 81, I think? I don't know. I think that's it. But before that version of that painting, because there was a spiritual reason for it, there's a message that it's saying, there were other versions that did not involve a facial or human features, like at all. It was shapes. And the first one they showed was a pyramid or a triangle with a circle over each corner, which was supposed to represent the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And what evolved into the three-faced Jesus is a being. It depicts a being that is also all three, like the Father, Son, and the Spirit, which is not, from what I remember from my biblical learning, not what Jesus is. Jesus, or was a man. Definitely the son of the Creator, but a being that already long existed, that wanted to come in here and get in on this long playing human story. But the reason why the triangle is significant, and I keep saying pyramid, is because Jesus is also known as the tip of the pyramid, which I'm not sure how well acquainted you are with the pyramids in Giza in Egypt, but the Great Pyramid is supposed to have a top piece, and it's not on there, and that's what Jesus represents. So I guess when the prophesied return happens, maybe the lid will be put back on the pyramid. I don't know. Okay, sidetracked. So back to what I was saying about the kids. It's like the silent, unrealized cavity that by the time it surfaces, talking about the child acting out and then it affecting the adult us. It's like the silent, unrealized cavity that by the time it surfaces and makes itself known, okay, there should be a comma there, all the while prior and misplaced under a layer of experiences, back talking about the child. So, okay, now that I'm reading it, I know what it means, but it doesn't make sense when I say it. So, the cavity you could get shows up and that hurts, yeah, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Like, a cavity is just a representation of what's been going on underneath the surface. And I feel like that is what happens with the inner child. Like, things happen and they don't necessarily get properly addressed. I know that when I was a kid, like, that kind of thing, no one would even hardly think of. Like, you wouldn't give a child that much respect for what they were feeling. And certainly even fewer people would have the foresight to know, like, this thing that the kid is spazzing out about now, if we don't deal with it right, and if we like make little of it and they're still upset, then years later it's gonna fester like an abscess on the other end of the cavity that you can't see because it's down below. And here it says, all the while prior and misplaced experiences, non-addressed experiences. Just gonna smack that in there. Not even like experiences, but traumas, because that's what kind of sticks with you. Expresses. That's the wrong word. Transpose that and you'll have the right thing. There you go. Experiences. I understand my notes sometimes. Sometimes my writing gets hard to read. But anyway, this is fresh. So yeah, all the while prior experiences, prior and misplaced, non-addressed experiences and traumas are under layers of experiences. Festering and or smoldering, call it what you will, out of sight and out of mind. Got up to no good. I could cliche on about idle hands, etc., but I feel like I made my point, which is, you can call this a bunch of cliches. Sometimes I find a doorway, and step through and find a way to reach the inner child. My inner child, anyway. Like, the way I'm treated by people in unassailable positions of authority. I should say, when I was, because I'm talking about the child that this happened to. So when I was treated by people in unassailable positions of authority, like when one is a child and almost everyone is that, an authority that's unassailable, like you don't have any power. You can't really say a damn thing as a child, except when I was a kid. The things that happen today that trigger those childish memories, that's it for me. Like, I finally realized. Gotta write that in. Yeah, so like I finally realized that's one way I found to begin to deal with a piece of baggage that I've been paying dues on, or two, that's definitely affected some interpersonals today. So, to be clear, there are things that happened when I was a kid that I have obviously still not gotten over, because I still talk about them. But that just means they are unaddressed and I need to. So something will happen in my adult life that'll remind me of that. And then that is my opportunity to go, oh, this is what was messing with the kid, or is messing with the kid, because it's still bothering me from way back when. Like, I wasn't sure how to make that connection, and it's not like, you know, like I was saying, it gets triggered, so I'm not just all, I'm constantly triggered, so I'm gonna go directly to the thing. I guess it's a process, you know, like something starts bothering you, and then now I know for myself a way to get to a root of any particular problem that comes up. And the root seems to always lead back to that place of a younger person that something happened to, and for whatever reason it did not get properly dealt with at the time. That was my chance. But that's good. I mean, you know, that's what I find I hear quite a lot. And it's not just in the spiritual stuff you'll find. It's like a psychological thing too. Like a doctor would say to you, I need to clear up exactly the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist, but I think both schools will say that stuff that happened when you were the stuff that happened when you were a kid can mess you up today. So I don't know, I guess that's it. I found a way to get to my inner child. It's not like as accessible on demand as maybe I would like, but maybe that's good. Like, space these things out a little bit once you figure it out, because one thing starts unlocking all these other things, and it's just kind of like getting buried beneath an onslaught of all this other stuff that was like, oh, hey, wait, I wanted to say something here too 25 years ago. Got a minute? Thank you and good night.